trying to give you guys a nice little view. It's still morning here, so look at the reflection in my in the window. So I don't know if you can see. Look at that. The seagull. Here's some information on this tiny little Greek island. The seagulls have come into the homes. It's the first time that this has happened, and it's really unusual. We have seagulls everywhere. They come in, they eat with the cats when I feed the cats. We have a group of feral cats that come and go here on the island. And the seagulls are everywhere. You can see it, wait, in the reflection right there. There's one seagull there. They come like right up to the front door, and you open the door and they don't leave. I mean, they just look at you like, what are you doing here? It's really unusual. And on the other side of the house where our bedroom is, right, there's a couple, I don't know that if they have any babies, if they're raising any, you would think they would, but they're up on top of the roof, and at daybreak they start calling. They lift up their necks and just call out, and they wake us up every single morning, and it can be annoying, but at the same time it's kind of cool. And so I don't know, it's just an unusual thing, but they suspect there's two reasons, I think, for this flooding of seagulls in the village. They're like babies on the street, like just on the road, standing there, right? And the parents swirling around and cars coming by, and they're just there, people walking by. They're like, they've infiltrated the village. There was a movie, God, I don't know, back when I was a kid, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This has nothing to do, the seagulls are not like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I don't know why I thought about that, but it's like they have come in. It's an unnatural thing. Seagulls are not supposed to be around homes. They're not supposed to be around, living in the village, on the streets, raising their babies on the side of the road. That's just very unusual. So here's the reason for anybody who's interested, right? One is that the garbage dump on the island is no longer available. So they used to all go up there, and they would find food, and they would, they were away from all the people in the village, and they would find their food, and they could raise their babies in relative, security. So that's one thing that they say, that because that garbage dump is no longer available to them, they have moved into the village, because people feed, they'll throw out their food and they'll feed them, so they're going to stick around. The other thing is, because my husband is a fisherman, so this whole area is a bay, and in the summertime it warms up, and there's a suspicion, because the fish, it's minimal. You can hardly find fish in this bay area where the fishermen go out fishing, and it's probably, although I have no proof of this, but probably because the sea is too warm. It's just too warm. And so most of the fish have gone deeper into deeper waters, which we don't have here because it's a bay. And that's another possibility, that the seagulls are not finding the food that they need easily. So they've moved into the houses, into the village. There's no garbage dump anymore for them to pick out all sorts of stuff. Seagulls, by the way, are the rats in the air. They eat anything, whatever they can get their hands on, anything. And so that's why I suspect this is the first year that this has happened. It's very unusual. So those are my thoughts this morning on the things that are happening around the island, right? The things that are happening. As far as painting goes, summer is here. I have been very, very busy painting. I've been painting the kitchen, so I haven't been painting on canvases. I've been painting in the kitchen, and there's still the same process of creativity that happens with that, and that's all good. That's all been good. But summertime is a whole different area. It's like a whole new island, a whole new life. Everything just flips. Like, the calm, pristine, beautiful beach, right? Going cold water swimming in the wintertime, or go down to paint, and with all the serenity and all the beauty that this island has to offer. It's no longer like that. Now it's crazy. It's just crazy busy, and I don't particularly enjoy it. I don't like it. So because of that, things have changed. There's a lot going on in the village. There's a lot of going up and down. There's a lot of fixing things. People coming over. I've got somebody coming to stay today, and it pulls me off of my routine, off of my practice, and that's why usually in the summer times, I kind of pull away from YouTube, pull away from uploading, pull away from being so active here, because I can't quite keep it all running smoothly, and it's disrespectful, I feel, to you who who comes and listens to these crazy morning musings of mine. And so I sit back. I've been thinking this morning, how should I handle this? What should I do? Just keep going on until I get back to, until I leave in August. I'll be going to the States, so that will be a big change. So I think the month of August, I will definitely take that break from YouTube. I'll pretty much have to do that. But I'm not sure. I'm just not sure how to move in this month in July. So aside from that, yesterday we were going to do the painting challenge. It's a good thing we didn't, because first of all, it was 4th of July. So anybody who was celebrating, hope you had a great day. Some friends have sent me the fireworks. Oh, that's always exciting and lovely. I haven't seen fireworks like that, American style fireworks, in many, many, many years. We do get fireworks here on the island for New Year's. I mean, it's a very minimal display, but it is a display of fireworks. So, it's not like I haven't had the fireworks. It just hasn't been the American fireworks, which are always so grand and explosive and, big. We do everything big in the States, don't we? We do everything. Everything is so much bigger in the States. And not to say, after living here for so many years, Not to say that that's better. Bigger is definitely not better. I think we in the States, with our grand ideas and our grand the ease of which you can make your life big in the States, the ease of which you can do that. I mean, even if you go and rent a house, the house is going to be much bigger than the house that, here in Greece, the one that we have here, which is actually considered a pretty decent sized home here in Greece. It's just everything is smaller. I remember when I first came. I mean, I've always been coming to Greece because my mom's Greek, so I've always had that. But when I first came to Athens, and thinking how tiny everything is, how tiny, like the big bathroom. I mean, in my mom's home, it was an apartment at the time in Athens. There were 2 bathrooms. That's like pretty luxurious for Greece, especially in the 60s and 70s. So the one bathroom, which was the big main bathroom with the bathtub and everything, for Greece was really big. And for my standards, it was like the little bathroom that just, had the toilet and a sink or something that you would find like, off the kitchen or something. Just and in this country, it was big. It was considered grand. It was considered, uh, um, pretty luxurious. And the bedrooms as well. The bedroom that I grew up in the States was like twice the size of the bedroom that we had here. And there would be like little boxes that would just fit a bed in, and you'd have a closet that's basically, and no built-in closets. They were like the stand that you just stick in the corner and open the doors back in the day. Now it's things are changing, but that is interesting. So life in the States, the basic standard of living is larger than the basic standard of living here on the island, in Greece generally, even today. I mean, if you have enough money, people will build larger homes, apartments that they're living in, condos, whatever you want to call them. And have full bathrooms, and they're much more luxurious and nicer as far as the luxury standard goes. So yeah, Greece is a smaller country, so everything in it is small. Everything is, we don't have the huge freeways with 4 lanes that are we don't have that. We don't have a lot of that, big luxurious parking. Everything is pretty compact, and you're just kind of moving in and weeding in and out of traffic in the cities, of course, not out here. And it's interesting. It's interesting to me because even though in this little tiny country, everything is visually, physically in a more closed up space, the depth of this country is far beyond anything that can be found in the States. And the States doesn't have a couple thousand years of deep history and culture and philosophy and movement. That's the roots, the seed from where this little tiny country comes from. And even though it's small, there's a breeze, so I'm kind of rocking, but even though the country is small, everything. I mean, it's like a seed, right? This little tiny seed that you think is nothing, and yet it is packed with such wealth, enrichment. It is packed with ideas and development that in today's world you don't really take notice of. So let me add to that idea. Who in the United States thinks very much of Tajikistan, countries like that are Persian, right? Small countries that's never in the news. People don't really know very much about these countries, where they come from, what the depth of their culture is, right? And yet, a friend of mine just went there to Tajikistan and said it was phenomenal. The experience was phenomenal. And something that, you go to a place like that and you're completely opened up to, yes, a new culture, completely different, but also one, the Persian culture is deep, rich, full of tradition and lifestyle and philosophy, history, a whole way of progressing and thinking about the world that has deep, deep roots. The United States does not have deep, deep roots. It is a brand new country. It's a brand new place. It is, right? I mean, we all know that. And we have this great expanse, this enlargement, this, oh my God, I keep on, I keep jiggling. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can move the camera out of the wind. Okay, so the United States is a new country. It doesn't have that depth. If it sticks around and keeps growing and developing, there will be culture, there will be traditions, there will be a deeper history, there'll be all sorts of things, yes. But it's not this tiny little country like Greece, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, other areas of the world that have been around forever with cultures, with depth, with deep history and deep philosophy about life and about what living means. And, there are things that you either agree with or disagree with. And, of course, much of what we agree with and disagree with is dependent upon the culture that we were raised in. So, it's another way and another reason to just kind of let go of the preconceived notions that we have about a place, right? And just kind of step back and open up. Doesn't mean that you are going to go live in Greece or you're going to go live in Tajikistan or you're going to, that's not what you're going to do. All it means is that when you open the doors and you step beyond those boundaries that we all put in place with every single thing about our lives, everything that we believe, everything with who we are. Hey, Brazen. I came on really early this morning. And so when you let go of our preconceived ideas of things, then you can begin to just kind of be more accepting, not only of others and other people's lifestyles and the things that they believe and what works for them, but also of yourself. And we are often the hardest critics uh, to ourselves. I think maybe one standard of seeing how much of a critic you are to yourself is to see how other cultures based on things that we think we know, based on the information that we're given. And remember, the information that we get here in Greece, the news, let's say, here in Greece, is a little bit different than the news that, or the viewpoint or the push, right, into the typical American culture. So I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to be going to the States, and again, meshing into the culture, the general intelligence or lack thereof of people in the United States. I mean, I know what it's like here. We have the intelligence and plenty of lack thereof. I think anywhere in any country, there's a developing and growing lack thereof. At least that's what it seems to me. So I'm interested to see how I'm going to be feeling when I get back to the States, and the depth and the roots, the richness that this tiny little country has, because of its massive history, its incredible philosophy, not only of ancient times, but of how people live here today. The way people handle life that's coming at them all the time is a little bit different than how people handle life in other countries. And it's just really interesting to see. Here in Greece, I still feel pretty safe, right? I still feel pretty safe. I'm not going to go into the difficult areas in Athens at night and feel safe. No, but there's not that many of them in comparison to what you can find in the States, you know, and so I'm curious about that. Like, knock on wood, we still don't have school shootings here. We still don't have, knock on wood, that this never happens. You know, where you feel afraid to go sit in a cafe because you don't know if somebody's gonna come up and just start shooting at you and killing you, which in the States now is like normal. It's like just a thing that happens, and oh, the poor people in that, you know. Those poor folk, right? As long as it didn't happen to you. And it seems crazy to me. It seems crazy to me because I don't live in that kind of culture. And I don't understand why that's happening in the States. Not just the mass shootings that are happening, the polarity that's happening, the disconnections. Just disconnect. We're all just isolated and looking at what's happening in our home and not much further out our front door than that. And that's also happening here. But as my friend was saying when she came back from Tajikistan, she was like, you know, you can go, young girls, you know, in their teens, were out walking in the middle of the city at night in the parks, you know, with their friends. There was no sense at all of danger you know? And I'm not saying that there isn't, poverty happening and there aren't difficulties and people aren't getting killed, but there was, according to my friend, a European woman, she said there was no sense of threat. There was no sense of anything like that. There was a movement when with the group of people that she was with, the local people in the towns and the cities gathering around, accepting them, like they went to speak at a gathering. I don't know what it was for exactly, and it's not my place here to disclose that. But they were at a gathering and they were speaking. They were speaking, talking to the audience, and usually, you're done speaking, you're on stage, you're speaking, you're explaining things, and then you leave, and the audience leaves. And here, she said, they all gathered and said, wait, come into the back. We have prepared a meal for you. The people in the audience were there wanting to be a part of, wanting to thank them, to show their appreciation to them for coming and speaking and sharing what they needed to share, what they had come to share in Tajikistan, and she's telling me these things, and I'm thinking, they don't do that here in Greece anymore, right? We're coming much more westernized. So you go and speak somewhere, and then you have a chat with people in the backstage, and then you go home, or you go out with your friends, or whatever. Maybe you'll go out with the group and but it's not like the audience gets involved as well, right? That doesn't happen here anymore. And I suspect that once upon a time, it was much more friendly. And according to my friend, she said Tajikistan was incredibly friendly. People were connected. They were connected in such a way that is quite different to what we find here in Europe and especially in the States. There is no connection, except perhaps in small towns where, and in certain parts of the United States where people are, more connected. And I'm not saying that people aren't connected in the States. Of course they are. But you have to leave the United States and you have to live somewhere else to really begin to see differences. And I'm not saying that Greece is the ideal place to live. I'm not saying that Tajikistan is the ideal place to live. All of these different areas on the planet, have to click with you. And if you agree with it, and if it's part of your philosophy and part of what you believe, then, this could be, Greece, this tiny little Greek island, could be a perfect place for you. So it's just an interesting thought point for me. And I've been thinking about my friend here. Hey, how you doing? How are you? Come on, say something. You got to say something. I need a joke. I need a joke. We got Brazen here as well. It's nice to see you. It's nice to have you guys here. So, yeah. I find, I don't know, people in the States, right, who are listening and who have not had the ability to travel to another country, and not on holiday. I'm not talking about a holiday where you go to like the Hyatt Hotel, you sit at the pool, you drink your margaritas, and you're in a different country. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about going to another country and living it, like getting out in the streets, and hopefully with a local person who can really give you the feel of what it's like, how different life is in that country than it is in our, daily life in the States. So I use the States because that's Dubuque, Dubuque, Iowa. Is that Dubuque? I don't know Dubuque. Does that count? Partially. But I think if you really do, like I think about my life here on this tiny little Greek island, and I paint. My husband's a fisherman. It's very low. Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't been there. I haven't been there. I've only I've only been like in that area once. Anyways, when you come to another country and really experience it just on a local level, that's why, like I tell people, if you come to Greece, yeah, okay, you want to go see like the classic places, go to Athens, you got to see the Acropolis, you've got to see the incredible, it's incredible. And, most people want to go to Santorini or Mykonos, right? Where it's the islands that people know, or Crete. And those are the basic areas that people know in the States. But if you step off the beaten path and you come to a place like this tiny little Greek island, which is imperfect, which doesn't have everything, it's not luxurious, in that sense, right? It's you really get probably a stronger feel of what it's like to live in a place like this, to be a part of this culture, and you see things that you would never see in the States today. You just never see them. You'd never see it, or not. It would be very unusual, and you experience it, and you see how you react to these things. Like, remember, in the members group, right? I put up a video. I think I was talking about gathering the garbage, right? We were talking about the garbage. We have three beautiful women here, villagers, who work for the city, right? And they pick up the garbage. They get up like 5 in the morning and they're gathering the garbage. Now in the summertime, they make the pass through the village and towards the beach here, picking up all the garbage. And when they're finished and are driving back, there's more garbage on the ground. They said it's absolutely insane. So back in the 60s, you would see garbage. We would throw our garbage in the park, right? We would just leave it on the ground, or, throw it out towards the trees or something. We just had no sense of the garbage thing. But here in this area, it's still there. And yeah, they're picking it up and they're cleaning it up and they're doing all of these things. But the education is still, people still throw their garbage out. I mean, it's awful. Yeah. Leave no trace. Yeah. But 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 the garbage is like a negative. It is negative. It's bad. It shows like from our perspective, like it shows, like come on, what's going on? Why would anybody do that? But it does take generations for things to change. It needs the parents never throwing out the garbage, a little scrap from I don't know, a gumball or something. I am an older person. Are there even gumballs today? Anyways, throwing that, or maybe they're throwing it in the garbage, but it falls out and they don't stoop down to pick it up. Well, their kids see that. And then so children, if that's what they see, then they grow up and that's what they do. And they don't really think anything different. They don't even think about it. It's just like us, right? I mean, anybody, if you grow up eating croissants and donuts, and that's what was in your home, and that's, more than likely, there's going to be some kind of weight problem in your life. You're going to have a hard time putting it together, or other health problems, obviously, right? So it's all education. It's all education. But on the flip side, there's garbage on the roads, right? And you can pick it up. It's not piled with it, but it's there. You see it. So you walk the road and you're like, okay, there's garbage. So how much do you notice it? You pick it up and you throw it away. You can do all sorts of things like that. And the more people see you doing that, the more you're spreading the education about that. But the roots of the depth of the history here, the roots of the depth of philosophy here, the roots of the depths of culture are so much more than I have experienced anywhere else. I was listening to Greek rock music yesterday. Greek rock, like rock music. And listening to the words, the lyrics, the meaning of these rock music, regular, normal, rock music. And the depth of the lyrics of the songs are like